Gary, the busy week continues. Ipswich Town, one of the fancy teams in the league this season, coming to the Kassam Stadium. How are you feeling about the game?
Yeah, pretty much how we're feeling about every game at the moment. You know, certainly the home games. We've had some home games that feel like we're either playing against third, fourth, or whatever that might be. And there've been some really good games in there as well. You know, we've been incredibly competitive and probably deserve more out of the game. So Ipswich are a very good side. You know, I know Kieran a little bit. I did my pro licence with him, so I know he's a very, very talented young coach. He's obviously been around a little bit now and got good experience, and they've got a good group. So you know, you can see how well drilled they are and how well organised they are. They've got a decent sized squad where they can mix and match a little bit in games like this potentially. But yeah, I could probably say that about most teams in this division, and you know, the challenge doesn't change for us. It's a home game, like I said, of which we've been incredibly competitive, but without as many wins as we'd like, and we want to try and put that right.
Wednesday night, the results, it's hard to know whether they went against you or not, but you dropped into the relegation zone. Does that change anything?
Not really. Not really. I mean, you know, a year ago when I joined, that's exactly where we were. So not really. I think there's sometimes maybe when you're sort of in and around it, people perhaps, you know, I'm thinking the players maybe don't overthink it as much. Maybe when they see, you know, that you are in there, then it maybe gives you that extra incentive to get back out of there again. So yeah, I think it can. I don't think it's necessarily a huge negative. I don't think we've performed quite well in the last two games. So I think it's circumstances of other teams winning around us. It's probably dragged the pack that are above us a little bit closer to everybody. So I think it's made it more competitive at the bottom of the league anyway. But of course we don't want to be there. You know, we spoke about that before. We want to try and change that, and the only way you change it is winning games of football.
Does it simplify the message though a little bit?
Simplifies the message in terms of wanting to win games of football and the importance of the game, but I don't think it necessarily changes what we do on the pitch. I don't mean it changes how we approach the game. I don't mean it changes the tactics of what we will try and do and what Ipswich might do to us to try and make the game, you know, positive or negative. So I don't think it changes too much. I think what it does is it just heightens the importance of the game, and you know, hopefully that's reflected in our performance.
How's Kieran Brown?
Yeah, Brownie's okay. He's trained today again. We'll assess him. We you know, we haven't done massive amounts today, of course, as you'd imagine. So we'll assess him and see where he is. But at least he's out there, and we'll make a call as to whether we think he's 100% or not 100%. Same with one or two more. And again, it's always that sort of debate, isn't it? On a Saturday, Tuesday, then a Friday. You know, do you try and change the dynamic of the team energy-wise? I think the team's had really good energy the last couple of games, and we've sort of made a conscious effort to get a little bit more of that into the team. So I certainly don't want to lose that. But I would imagine most teams on the back end of a week that we're having, probably in that last game, we'll try and make 2 or 3 changes.
So is this the one where you listen to sports science a little bit more intently than perhaps on a...
Never. That will never happen. No, of course, listen, I'm aware of all the numbers. I'm aware of what we want it to look like. The guys will sort of tell me who they think can go again, who they can't go again. But I think most players, like we said it before, most players, you know, you're talking about 3 games in a week. It's, you know, you want to go again. You want to play. You want to go and build that rhythm and build that you know, those minutes into the game, particularly if there's someone that hasn't played as regularly. You certainly don't want to come out of the team, but you know, obviously my job's to try and make good decisions around where we can freshen up and where we need to perhaps go again and maintain a bit of consistency.
Yeah, on that, in weeks that come with games coming thick and fast, is it more important to keep that continuity or the freshness? Or well, I guess you just said it's a balance of the two. But.
Yeah, it's a balance of the two. I think sometimes, I've said it before, you get into this mindset where you've got a decent sized squad, so of course, you know, you don't want to just pick the same team every week you know, get great consistency if results are fine, but at the same time you also need to try and find the moments to change and the moments to give people that opportunity to come in and show the fresh legs. I think the challenge sometimes with that is you don't want to constantly flip-flop and change your team, because then, you know, it becomes difficult build those relationships on the pitch as well. But I think it's part of the modern day game, isn't it? You know, the games are intense. The games, you know, are pretty big in terms of volume. So yeah, we have all the information. It's just sometimes everyone has a different mindset. You know, I enjoyed playing regularly and getting my rhythm and building my confidence. And I would have hated to have come out of the team every sort of second, third game, but you know, it was slightly different then. So I think it has changed a little bit. And I think players are ready to make that impact. We had great impact off the bench at the weekend. I think the subs coming on, the 4 subs coming on, you know, changed the dynamic of the game, which is exactly what you want. And you know, I think that's where the game's going, isn't it? You know, you start with a team and you end up finishing with a team, and sometimes they can look a little bit different, but you know, be used in good ways, you know, around the dynamic of the game.
Yeah, and it's a week where you started playing against second in the league, and then second bottom in the league, and now again you're against another team that's gonna be up there, 5th I think at the moment. How difficult is that to navigate going from, you know, teams that are up, down?
Yeah, not too difficult really, because I think every game, you know, if you look at everybody's squad in this division, you look at the capability of performing really well. I mean, you know, for example, you look at Sheffield United, I think they've won the last two games, performed really well. Yeah, if you looked at where they are in the league at that point, you'd have said they wouldn't be capable of that. But of course, everyone who's been in the division a while, you know that they are. You know, Norwich are capable of keeping the ball and hurting you. You know, Ipswich are exactly the same, but you know, same as Middlesbrough. You know, so I think you take every game in its merit. You take every game for what it is. I don't really look at the table, and I think sometimes externally people will say, "Oh, this must be a really good opportunity if you're playing a team down the bottom at home, let's say." But every game's an opportunity. Every game's a chance to put your best foot forward and put a performance in that you give yourself a chance of winning the points. And like I said, we've not been far away. I think the performances have been generally pretty consistent. It's just that last little bit, isn't it? It's that last little moment of quality or fortune or a decision or whatever that means for us to win the game. And you know, that's sort of eluded us the last few.
Yeah, and as you said after the game on Tuesday, it started well, and then the goal seemed to take the confidence out of the players. How do you combat that going forward?
Yeah, I don't know if it takes the confidence out of the players. I think sometimes a goal gives confidence to the other players as well. You know, I think it works both ways. Yeah, look, that's part of the game. Part of the game is managing moments. You know, we've had it this season where we've scored and then conceded straight away after. We've had it this season where we've conceded, you know, and not got back into the game, or you know. But I think we've, you know, I think our reaction to certain things could be better, but at the same time, you know, the players have never given up on games. They've always kept going in games. Sometimes we make a mistake to give the opportunity to someone else. Sometimes we haven't, and in those games we've ended up getting good results. So yeah, I don't necessarily think. Of course, goals affect games and they affect the mentality of a team, but I think good teams aren't affected, or you know, they don't lose their way within the game. But yeah, the goal we conceded, I think, was against a run of play, because it was against a run of sort of the first 30 minutes. Maybe knocked us stuffing out the team a little bit, but I thought we coped quite well on the back end of that, certainly later in the game.